minutes late. So hello, good afternoon. I thought I'd pop on and do a Ask Me Anything Substack Live because I haven't done one in a while. I think the last time I did one was way back in the summer. So I thought I'd just come on, have a chat, tell you what I'm up to. You can ask me anything. I always say within reason. So anything about writing, publishing, the state of the world, if you want to hear my opinion, then I am here for it. Only for about half an hour though. So this week, so it's nearly the end of September, which is mad. It's the 25th of September. And on the 1st of September, I said I'm going to start writing my new book. So that was my plan. 1st of September, writing my new book. Done the outline because I'm very much a planner. So I'd written my outline back in March because I'd finished writing the latest book in my publishing deal. So I had put together an outline of the next books I wanted to write. So I wrote an outline for 2 Henley books and a standalone. So I'm going to be writing the standalone next. But I already, I have this plan. So I know what my story is. And then for 1st of September, so I took August off. 1st of September, right, I'm going to start writing. And I sat down to write on the 1st of September. Bearing in mind, I've got a plan. I've said that I've got a plan. Could I write? No. It took me so long to get a prologue down. It took me so long. And I think the thing is, it was that I wasn't writing the next book in my series. And I've said that I've spent so long in my series. I've been writing my series. I first started writing it, I think probably end of 2016, probably 2017. I started writing my series, the Inspector Angelica Henley series. I wrote the first book. So from 2016 to even as recently as last week when I was proofreading book 4. So from 2016 to 2025, I've been in this Henley world, Inspector Henley's world. And then to leave that world and to start something completely new, something completely different, brand new characters, brand new setting, even though it's a familiar setting because it's set in the same area of London, but it is a brand new setting for writing purposes. To have all these new things, it just took me really, really long time to get into it. And then I told myself I was going to write in the first person. I don't like writing in the first person. Oh, maybe don't like's a bit strong, but it's my preference is not to write in the first person. I prefer to write in the third person. And I told myself I was going to write in the first person. Then I backed out of it. Said, no, I'm just going to write in the third person. And it just took me ages and ages and ages and ages and ages to do. And then book 4 in my series came back for me to do the proofread on. So I was doing the proofread on that for about a week and a bit. And then this week, I've now gone back to writing my standalone. And then I decided, after I've written words and deleted words, written words and deleted words, written words and deleted words, I've decided, no, this book has to be written in the first person. So that's what I'm doing now, writing my new book in the first person. And I said to myself this year, I'm going to push myself. I'm going to push myself with my writing and try new things and not sit in that safety net of always writing in the third person and being in my familiar Henley world. But it's not easy. It's not easy. Yeah, I had to have a lot of words with myself. So that's what I've been doing. Oh, Chris wants to know more about my series. So my series, I write crime fiction. It's a police procedural series, and it's called, the series is the Detective Inspector Henley series. And I don't know if you can see, the first book in the series is The Jigsaw Man. Actually, hold on. This is what I want to do. So, first book in the series is called Jigsaw Man. Second book is The Binding Room. And these are the UK editions. And the third book in the series is The Kill List. And the fourth book in the series is called The Shadow Carver. And that's out 12th of February, 2026 in the United Kingdom, and is out on the 10th of March, 2026 in the US and Canada. And then basically, the main character is called Detective Inspector Angelica Henley, and she leads a unit called the Serial Crimes Unit. And this unit is based in Southeast London in a disused police station. And it's a police station that should have been shut down, but it hasn't been shut down yet. But they're the only unit still in this police station. And for the first book, they pursue serial crimes. And the first book involved a copycat serial killer, and then the original serial killer comes out because he's not like the copycat taking credit for it. So that is my series. So I said I've been working on this series since 2016. So to leave it and write something completely new, it messes with your head a bit. And people always say, like, how could you write a series? Like they couldn't write a series. And there's familiarity with a series because you know your characters, you know your setting. And as long as you feel like with each book you're seeing the growth of your characters, then it's good. I'm happy with my series. But also you need to stretch yourself as a writer. So for me, stretching myself as a writer is by writing a standalone, which I said I've been finding a bit hard because it's just taken me a while to get into the flow of things. And then in addition to that, I've been doing my podcast. So I have a podcast called The Conversation with Nadine Matheson, where I have conversations with authors. So thank you, Chris. Chris says bravo. So yeah, I have my conversation podcast, but I have conversations with authors, and that's what I was doing, which is why I was late today. So if anyone has any questions about writing this series, this is one of the US editions of the book. Any questions about writing this series, publishing industry in general, then I'm happy to answer them for the next 25 minutes to about 4:05. So what else have I been up to? So it's been that. I've been started writing my Substack again. So I wrote an article for my Substack about the Anthropic case. So if you don't know, Anthropic is an AI company in the States, and there was a class action against them by a group of authors who alleged that Anthropic had used pirated books in order to train their AI model called Claude. And in June, the judge gave a partial ruling, basically saying that Anthropic were allowed to use our books to train their AI model. But the issue was in regards to the pirated books. And then fast forward to a few weeks ago, there was a settlement. So today at 9:00 UK time, so British Summer Stand, BST, 1:00. I'm not sure in the States, so it could be California time. There's going to be an outcome in regards to the settlement, because the settlement is for like 1.5 billion. 1.5 billion US dollars. So it's a matter of if your book was copyrighted in the States, whether or not you're going to be entitled to some of that $1.5 billion. So I'm waiting the outcome of that. So there's a lot going on in the publishing world and writing world and just being a creative. And I think a lot of the challenge for creatives it's just understanding like what your rights are in this fast moving AI world, and also just recognizing and accepting that AI is it's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. So it's just understanding like how you protect yourselves in terms of protecting your copyright, your intellectual property. Because this is the thing, like when it was established earlier this year that Meta had used our pirated books to train their AI, it was a shock to people, an absolute shock that our books have been pirated. And companies like Meta are arguing that, it's fair use. It's absolutely fair use for them to use pirated books. But the issue is not the fact that our books were used, it's the fact that our books were used to train AI and our consent wasn't taken. They didn't have our permission. So that's what I mean in terms of like working out how best to protect ourselves as authors, because I'm pretty sure there's loads of authors who probably won't have an issue with companies using their books to train their AI. But the issue is you don't want people stealing your work, because it's whether you've sold 1 million copies or sold 10 copies, it's hard work writing a book. writing this book. It's not easy. It's not easy at all. And the thing about being a writer, you could spend not even just months, years writing a book. And even if you have a publishing deal, you spend years writing a book, doing those first drafts, second drafts, third drafts, doing the edits, doing the proofreading and working with whether or not you're traditionally published or indie published, working with your cover artists and all of this thing, doing the marketing. There's no guarantee that you have that after doing all of that work that your book will sell. You could be lucky and your book sells thousands and thousands of copies. You could get unlucky and it just sells two. But irrespective of that, you don't want no one stealing your hard work in order to train their AI. So the issue for us is like making sure that we have protections in place, but also that these big tech companies are recognizing those protections, because it just seems to be this blatant, I was going to say ignorance is not the right, disregard, that's the right word. Blatant disregard for our rights as authors or as creators, because it's not just writers, musicians, it's artists, it's video game developers, all of us, our copyright, intellectual property has to be respected. So I'm awaiting the outcome of that. And then I'll be getting back to writing, which is, which I said it has not been easy, which is annoying because as I said, I am a planner. I am very, very much a planner. So when you have a plan, and I keep showing people, I'll show you my plan. Right, I have a plan. This is my plan. And it is, I don't even know how many pages it is. It's a lot of pages of my plan. Oh, in addition to that, I have an outline, a full outline, because I had to write an outline for my agent. And yes, a full outline. Pages and pages and pages and pages. But yet you can still hit that wall when you're sitting down to write. It's like, how do you put all of that together? So sometimes you just have to be kind to yourself. Like sometimes it's not force it. Because sometimes you can force it, try and get the words out, and then it's like it's just not happening. So hi Danielle, bye Danielle. She's going on a coaching call. But it's just sitting there not forcing it. So sorry if I mispronounced your name. Arnetta says, how long does it take you to write a first draft? Okay, once the words start coming out, it shouldn't take me long because I have a writing plan, and I do have like a target for how many words I need to write. So and because I'm under contract, so all this makes a difference. There's so many different components to it, because when I didn't have a contract, no one's asking for the book. So the book took as long as it took. My first book, I wrote it because I was doing a course. So I was doing a creative writing master's, and I had to write the book in order to complete the course. So I probably wrote that book. I probably wrote the first draft of that I think I wrote it in probably about 7-8 months. And then it was just a finessing of it, doing the editing. And then once I was in contract, I think the last book I wrote, The Cure List, I think I wrote that in 6 months. Actually, I think it was sooner than that. I think I started it in March and I finished it in July. So is that 6? Yeah. So it didn't take me long to do. But he said I have a plan, so I know what my daily word count, what my word count is. So it is, what is it? 1,666 words. And I got that because I was doing NaNoWriMo, and I worked out in order to write 50,000 words in 30 days. That's how many words I need to write a day. So it's got about 1,600 words. That's my target. So I can do a draft in about 6 months. And then it's then doing the edits, going back and forth, because once you're traditionally published, you're working with your editor. So then you go, actually, even if you're indie published, so you're working with your editor. So then once that draft is finished, it goes to my editor. She does her structural edit. There's been times when I've had my structural edit back in a month. Other times it's taken a little bit longer. And then I get the structural edit. And as long as I've got a deadline, I will meet the deadline. So usually they might say, like, can you turn this around in like 6 weeks? And I will always turn it around in 6 weeks. But from beginning to end, so with the last book, The Shadow Carver, I think I delivered the book in August, the first draft last August, and it's taken a year of back and forth with edits. I think I did two structural edits, then a line edit, copy edits, and then the proofreading. And then the book will be out in not September, in February next year. So that's just me. But I know some people. I know an author, he can write a first draft. He can do it in 3 months. So Chris says, I'll write memoir and essay. Any advice for building my confidence and sharing my fiction? Oh, God. It's never easy sharing your work because irrespective whether it's the first thing you've written or you've been writing for donkey's years, when you're sharing your work, when it's your work, it feels like it's very personal to you. And no matter what you tell yourself, I'm going to be very compartmentalized. I'm going to be very objective. It's not about me. It's about my work. It can't help but feeling like someone's giving their opinion on you because you you put your blood, sweat and tears into this work. So it's not easy, but you literally just have to bite the bullet. And I would say the best thing to do is try not to share it with your friends because your friends and your family are going to tell you that it's amazing because they don't want to hurt your feelings. So I think the first people I shared my writing work with, it was someone I worked with. So we weren't like friends. It was a colleague. And I asked him if he'd read a chapter. This is years and years and years ago. And he did, and he liked it. This is before I started writing crime or anything like that. It was just like the first thing I properly sat down to write. So finding like a writing group, writing circles, finding that community, have that be the first people you share your work with. And then I think that's the way to go. But it's not easy at all sharing what you've written with strangers because it doesn't, you can't help it feeling like if they're being personal about you. But yeah, you'll find I'm sure there's lots of groups online that you could find, little writing communities, and create that little circle for yourself. You're welcome, Chris. Hello, Patricia Marquez. She's another writer on Substack, so you should follow her. So anything else you want to know about writing? So yeah, the first person I shared my writing with was with a colleague. And then I remember that I went to, there was a writing meetup group that I found and they met in this cafe every Tuesday. And the plan was that you would sit and write for an hour. I don't like writing in cafes, so I only did it for about a few months and then I stopped going. But it did get me used to sharing my work. So the plan was that you'd write for an hour and at the end of the hour, everyone would share their work with each other and then do a workshop on it. And to be fair, that was actually good. It got me used to the experience of sharing my work with people. And then after that, what did I do after that? I think you just end up just finding other writers, really, and just building a community. Because I'm a lawyer previously. And I discovered one of the prosecutors I knew, he was also a writer. And then we started sharing work with each other as well. So you just need to find your tribe. The most important thing I think in this business is finding your fellow tribe of writers because they will understand what you're going through. Your friends and family, unless they're in it themselves, they'll find it very hard to understand why you're struggling to write a prologue like I was. Why you've decided to throw away 45,000 words of a book because you've accepted that it's not working. So I need to say, did you get your master's before or after doing NaNoWriMo? What made you decide to get a master's? I think my first attempt at NaNoWriMo, I think I did my very first attempt in 2012 and I just couldn't do it because I was just busy with work. And then I did it again, I think 2013. I can't remember the exact dates, but I did it in 2013 or 2014 and I did it and I completed it. And I wrote this book called The Sisters and I finished it. And when I wrote the book, I was like, oh, this is actually, it sounds stupid. This is actually a book. And so I had these 50,000 words. And at that time, around 2013, 2014, that's when self-publishing was, I'll say, it's definitely up here. You're starting to see people be really successful with it. And I just thought, okay, I'm just going to self-publish it myself. So my very first book, I self-published, and that was The Sisters. So I took my 50,000 words that I completed for NaNoWriMo and I worked on it because I knew it was not ready. There was no way that was going to anybody. So I worked on it for probably like another 6 months of doing the rewrite, and then I found an editor, got a proofreader, did all that, and then I published it. I think the following year, 2015, I published it. I self-published that, and then 2016, I entered a writing competition. So my advice would always be as well: enter competitions. Writing competitions are the way to go in order just to perfect your skill and get you used to the idea of probably like writing short submissions, but also getting used to some kind of critique. So I entered a writing competition because I'd always wanted to write crime, but I always felt like I got a little bit stuck with it. So I entered a competition in 2016, and the competition, the prize, I didn't read the small print properly, but the prize was £2,000 bursary of a writing course, and it was a creative writing masters. And long story short, I won the competition, which meant that I won this £2,000 bursary of a creative writing masters. And for that creative writing masters course, you could either specialise in crime or thriller writing or literary. So for that particular prize, you would do the crime and thriller writing part of the course. And that's how I ended up doing the creative writing masters. So I had no intention, full transparency, I had no intention of doing a creative writing masters. None at all. Because I was already working full-time as a lawyer, and I was also teaching in a law school. So the idea of me going to school to teach was just, to be a student again. I had no intention of doing that. But I won the competition, ended up doing the creative writing masters. And as I said, I had to write a book to complete the course, and that book was The Jigsaw Man. And that's how I completed the course, and I got an agent, and I got my publishing deal. And here I am, going to be 4 books later. So that's how I started. People always ask, do you need to do a course? And I would say you don't have to do a course in order to be a writer. But if you feel like you just would like to have some extra help or some extra insight, maybe you feel like, okay, I'm lacking in my plot development or on characters or on setting, or I'm not even understanding which is the best voice for me to use to write a certain type of book, then I would say there's nothing wrong with doing a writing course. And it doesn't even need to be a master's degree. It could be like a short course. There's so many places that do short courses. What else? I think that's it. I can't think of anything else unless there's any other questions you'd like to ask me about the course. But the best thing about doing the course, though, was, as well as finishing the book, was also, I said, what I talked about earlier about finding your tribe. I did find my tribe of writers. I did find my writer friends who I'm still friends with today. One of them's on this, is watching this Substack live. And I said, it's important to have your tribe because it's important to have support for people, understand what you're going through as a writer, and to advise you and to read your early stuff to let you know if you're on the right track. So this standalone that I've started writing, guaranteed, I need to get 3 chapters down. Once I've got those 3 chapters down, I'm going to send it to my writer friends and ask them what they think, because I'm trying something new. So you do need a little bit of encouragement when you're trying something new. Okay, is there anything else anyone would like to ask before I go? Because I haven't done much writing today at all, because I had a meeting which went on for 3 hours, and then I had to record a podcast. So I haven't done the scrolling through. I haven't done a lot of essays. I haven't done a lot of writing today. Thank you, Chris. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. How do I manage all the work? Adding Substack to my workload has broke me. There's some days when you're like, I have no idea how I'm managing all this, how I'm managing to write, record the podcast, do the other stuff that I'm doing. I don't practice law. anymore because I don't know how I would do that working full time and managing all these other things. But I always say the best advice I can give is that you just have to steal time. All them pockets of time. There's never going to be you're never going to have the perfect space to write. And you're never going to have the perfect block of time to write, especially if you're doing other things like you are working a full-time job. So it's all about taking advantage of the small pockets of time that you can find. So still timing your lunch hour, still those early hours in the morning, if you're able to. Some people who wants to get up at 5 a.m. to write? But if you can do it and you're happy to do it, do that right for now. It's amazing how much work you can get done in an hour. It's amazing how much writing you can get done in an hour if you just give yourself that block of time. So and don't feel guilty. If you only ever get 100 words down, my friend Patricia, who's on there, she'll always say, it's 50 more words than you had yesterday. So yeah, don't feel so guilty. Yeah, and the Substack. I feel guilty because I don't publish enough Substack articles. I try my best, but it's hard. You're trying to write a book, then you're trying to push out an article once a week, but we're getting there. Okay, last question, Arnetta. What is it? What is your question? I don't mind. And if anyone would like to join me for one of these lives, actually join me, let me know and we can do one. And I don't mind you hogging the questions at all. So if you have a question, you can post it before I go. What else can I tell you? I can't think. Scrivener. This is my writing advice. If you don't need to have like a word processing program. Like you could just use Word, but I find Scrivener really, really, really helpful, especially when I'm writing those first drafts. I don't feel like I utilize it enough though. I honestly feel like I don't make the best of it. But when I'm writing my first draft of my book, I use Scrivener. It sounds like an advert now because I can see exactly where my chapters are. Oh, that was your last question. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, Scrivener. I can organize my manuscript. So that's my recommendation to you. If you can use Scrivener, they'll always give you a free trial. You won't regret it. Okay, I think that's it. So I was only putting on for half an hour. I know I was a few minutes late, but I've done my bit. My new book, I'll do my bit. My new book is out in February, The Shadow Carver. And I will let you know how I'm getting on with my standalone. I'm hoping that tomorrow that I haven't even hit the 2,000 word barrier yet. So I'm hoping by tomorrow I will get through 2,000 words. And then I feel better about things. So I know I'm on the right track. All right. So thank you for joining me for this half hour of Ask You Anything. And I'm glad you stumbled upon this, Arnetta. I hope it was helpful. I didn't really have a plan. I just came here to chat and answer your questions. So but I'm going to try and do these more regularly though. I'm going to try and do this at least every other Thursday because it's nice to come here and share. And I said the most important thing is I feel like there's someone there who understands exactly what you're going through and that you can ask questions. And there's never any bad questions. Never. All right. I'm going to leave you to your afternoons. Take care. All the best, Dan. Bye.